I did everything the way society said you were supposed to do. I got good grades in school. I listened to my parents. I went off to college. I graduated college with my career in hand. I met a man. I married that man. We bought a house. We bought 2 children. We bought 2 children. They were expensive. One's back there, right there. We had 2 children. And life was exactly how it was supposed to be. I got up every day. I went to work, picked up my babies, went home, made dinner, did bedtime, was a wife, was a mother, repeat every day. That's how life is supposed to be. That's what they always said to me. Until one day it was gone. I lost my total appetite for life. I started losing sleep, and that was my first sign to myself. And not because I had 2 children, but because I vividly was having nightmares every single night. I stopped eating. I stopped taking care of myself. I wasn't a very nice person to myself or the world around me. I chronically was sick. Infection after chest infection after chest infection, like chronically ill. And I started waking up in the morning with piles of hair beside me, beside my pillow. And it wasn't until a few months in that actually my spouse at the time said to me, I physically was pulling my hair out in my own sleep. My hair wasn't just falling out, I was pulling it out while I slept. And then one day it was all gone. Everything I ever worked for was completely torn away from me. The rock that my family had become accustomed to, that woman that solved everything everyone went to, I was working in a field that was technically social work, so I was the go-to person. She was gone. That superwoman that I created, she was amazing. She was gone too. What was left was a woman, a mother, on the floor, sliding down the wall of her kitchen onto the floor and staying there and sobbing, completely, utterly sobbing. And I can still remember that day. I can still remember the cold kitchen floor. I can remember how numb it became. It started with my toes, then went up the back of my legs, up to my buttocks, up my back. And I'll be honest with you, I loved it. Because for the first time in years, I was numb. And I can remember hearing this woman screaming, and I mean screaming in complete pain and agony. Never in my life had I heard that before. And then I realized it was me. It was me in that complete, utter agony on the floor with my 2 children home and unable to get up. I was gone. Laura Thomas in that moment was completely gone. What was left was a woman who would one day have to leave her career because her career let her down. It watched her fail. It watched her falter. It watched her lose everything about her. And it let her. It had no regard for who she was after 4:30 or who she was to this world. It didn't matter. So the career was gone. The marriage was already struggling, and there was no way it was going to survive this. And it did not. I retreated inwards. I pushed away my family, my friends, and anyone and everyone who ever loved me because they couldn't see who I had become. Because what they didn't know is at the same time, shame was creeping in. And shame was creeping in like a nice warm blanket that kept me so comfy and snuggled in. I loved it. So shame became my new cape. And what happened next is not something I'm fond of, but I began to survive my days by the minutes and the seconds. And all I was thinking every day from the second I woke up was, when is bedtime? When do I get to put my kids back to bed? When are they going to stop talking? When? And I survived by the minutes and then the hours. And then I got to the point that I would be driving my children to their destinations because my daughter was in school, but my son, he was home. But I wasn't well enough to take care of him. So I paid somebody else to take care of my own baby Well, I went home and went back to bed. And I would start every morning with them apologizing to them. Because in the morning, I was mean. I was nasty. And I would cry the whole way to dropping them off, saying, I'm so sorry. Tomorrow will be better. I'm really sorry Mommy behaved like this. And I'd wish them well and I'd go home to bed. And then one magical day, an amazing friend of mine said some words to me that shifted my entire life. And she said to me, Laura, you are worth it. And in that moment, guys, I didn't believe her. I didn't feel it. I felt worthless. I felt like I had nothing to offer. Because at that point, the only thing that was defining me was 4 magical letters. PTSD. A diagnosis from a doctor. Post-traumatic stress disorder. Those 4 letters defined everything about me, who I was, what I had to offer, and where I was going in my life. I had nothing. So I felt completely worthless. But thankfully, I had 2 amazing, beautiful babies looking at me, and I knew they were worthy. They were worthy of having a mom who was healthy. So I decided to get help. And I'm not going to lie or sugarcoat it. Trauma therapy sucks. It was the most grueling, exhausting, painful experience of my entire life. My first session was 2 hours straight. I cried the entire time, like sobbing, ugly crying the entire time, to the point that when I opened my eyes from it, they were actually crusted closed because the tears just kept coming and coming and coming. And session after session, I cried. And I ugly cried session after session. Until I realized something magical was actually happening during all of this. I was releasing. I was making space in my life and in my heart to receive love. As every tear came out of my eyes, I was actually opening space in my heart and my mind to receive. And I started to not just receive the love, but I felt the love. And before you know it, slowly but surely, I started to define who I am, who I wanted to be in this world. And I stand before you today an extremely, 100% transformed woman. I don't just live my life, you guys. I love my life. I celebrate my life every single day now. Life is nothing but a gift to me now. And now I make choices. I'm no longer defined by a job title. It doesn't matter that I technically don't have a career by society's standards. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me what my marital status is or what my relationship status is. It doesn't define me either. And what also doesn't define me is a diagnosis. A diagnosis is a word in my medical file. It holds 0 power over the woman I am today because I no longer give it that power. The woman in front of you today actually leads quite an incredible life. She's very fortunate and very blessed for every opportunity she has. Every day I wake up and I have the opportunity to help women all over the world decide who they want to be in their life, what goals they want to reach, who they want to impact in their own world. And I start every day with them. I've helped hundreds of people reach their own personal health goals, which I'm beyond proud of. I'm the creator and the founder of Living Beyond the Label Telesummit, which a few of our speakers tonight took part of, and I'm grateful for them for that. This year I'm releasing my first book, Living Beyond Her Labels. And to say I'm excited and proud of that is a complete and utter understatement. I define my life. I live my life with intention and purpose every single day. And I stand before you committed to change the stigma of mental health. I will change it. I'm a woman completely on a mission to change and to teach people that anyone who struggles with mental health can also live beyond their own labels. Once you define who you are and what you want to be and what you want to give this world, you define who you are and you take back all of your powers. I'm committed to be an example of what is possible. Labels, they can define us, but my question is always, what do you want the label to define you with? Because you get to answer that. And the day you answer that is the day you actually step forward and start living your life. Thank you.